Welcome to oilfielduniversity.com's podcast. I'm currently between Louisiana and Houston, so fitting time to go ahead and do a broadcast. So, as always, my name's Greg, your host here at oilfield.com, oilfielduniversity.com. A little plug. So all the information you'll hear within the broadcast is copyright oilfielduniversity.com, Technics LLC, myself, as well as the Internet of Things. So we can get started. Just a couple of dates for things that happened today in history. They turned the lights on in One World Trade in New York City today in 2014. I'm sure that's a remarkable day there for the United States after overcoming much over the past few years. We haven't changed our views a whole lot as far as we've made it tougher to fly, but not really on much anything else. So that was 2014. So the Dominican won its independence, or gained its independence rather, from the UK in 1978. Even though this place is still a huge vacation spot for our friends in the United Kingdom. I hear it's very lovely. I haven't been, but I hear it's very lovely and would like to go. But hey, life is what it is. But congrats to the people in the Dominican for winning their independence in today in history, 1978. Funny enough, today in the year of 1954. Yeah, 54. We introduced the world to Godzilla. So we talk about winning our independence. We talk about the standing of a very monumental structure and a very scary monster, all on today in history past rather. So we were going to talk a little bit about hurricane evacs and some tips there for our boys working in the Gulf of Mexico if you're just getting started, as well as the on the Atlantic coast. Not so much the Pacific, because I have this issue in that part of the United States where there's no such thing as drilling. So we'll, even though there's still a few things on the go over there. Hey, for my listeners in California, hey, that's great. It is what it is. And for the rest of the listeners on the West Coast, hey, we get it. We get it. We understand. Just don't complain about the high gas prices. So yeah, my first hurricane evacuation, it was 1997. I was working for Neighbors Offshore on a platform rig by the name of Neighbors 79. We were working for BP acquired them later on. Vastar. We were working for Vastar. And I remember earlier that day after pre-tower, the meeting right before you go to work, and there was the tool pusher said that we were going to start down manning and sending in crew. And I remember, going straight to my stateroom and packing my things and being ready. and then they assembled the skeleton crew that was going to stay behind until the very last minute. So in my mind, I never really understood why we waited around to the very last minute. But I mean, it's clear that it takes some time to get everything shut down and everything secured. But why wouldn't you just go ahead and let everybody go at the same time? But anyway, I don't want to slow the broadcast down with the mundane stuff there. So as I was chosen. Like I'm never the lucky guy, right? Never the lucky guy. So I was chosen to be part of the skeleton team to do the shutdown. And I was a floor hand at the time. They kept a couple of floor hands. They kept a mechanic, electrician, the night tool pusher, driller, of course, the guy that's in charge of the crew, and everybody else down manned. So I remember securing the rig floor. I remember grabbing my things and going to the helawait, or the where you wait for the helicopter, and the night tool pusher said, well, we have to turn all the power off. So we're sitting in the heli lounge with no power at all. I think there was 8 of us, and the rain was so hard that it was like when you'd open up the door of the living quarters. The rain was so hard that you couldn't stand next to each other and speak. The wind was blowing like it was unlike anything you could ever imagine. If you'd ever been hung in a storm before, you know exactly what I mean. The medic was on the helideck with flashlights signaling the helicopter because there was no power. We shut emergency generator off. We shut everything off. There was absolutely no power at all. So the helicopter comes in and makes like this bounce landing, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, I'm not sure if I want to get in that helicopter. I don't want to stay here, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to get in that helicopter or not. I remember boarding the helicopter. I remember being just thinking to myself, I wonder, what it would be like to have a job at home right now. Probably don't have to worry about a hurricane, but hey, nice. So yeah. Anyway, so we board the helicopter. We get in. Of course, the last guy into the helicopter was the tool pusher. They secure the doors. We go to lift off, and I remember the wind blowing us backwards off of the helideck, and I remember looking out the window of the helicopter, like straight up, as we go off the side of the helideck, and it's almost as if the pilots caught it as it was coming off the helideck, and I remember going straight up, and the pilots got as high as they could away from the weather, but the helicopter provider at that time, I can't name any names because it was kind of a shoddy helicopter, but there was rain pouring through the seams of the headliner inside the helicopter, and I mean it was just drenched inside the helicopter. So it was like one of those Army style helicopters with might as well have the doors off with gunners. So, but of course we landed. Everybody was evac. There was no problems whatsoever. But it's a scary feeling being evac and not knowing exactly what's going on. So just a few tips for our listeners, you want to make sure that if you're driving back and forwards to the Gulf of Mexico or a departure point in the Atlantic, that you make sure that your vehicle has a full tank of gas. Now, the only reason I say that is because if there's a major hurricane hits and your vehicle is located anywhere around that region, and for some chance you couldn't get off the vessel or off the rig, this is for my platform guys and my jackup guys, and you had to demobilize to another platform, another facility out of the storm's way, and then for any reason you have to go in, you may not have the ability to get fuel anywhere, and then you'll be stranded with that quarter tank of gas that you pulled into the heliport with. So, number one, always have a full tank of fuel, always. The other thing too is, if you need fuel whenever you're departing an area that's been hit by a hurricane, please try to get as far away from any coastal cities as you can. The tanks will have sand in them. It's just the way it works. I don't understand why, but it's been a problem. It's happened hundreds of times to people. They wait to the last minute to get fuel, and somewhere that's been covered up with water for a week and a half to 2 weeks, that gets sand in their tanks because this stuff enters from the top of the roads and enters from the tops of the pavement where the tanks are buried. So sand gets in there, and you won't get far with sand in your gas tank. So that's for my guys on my platforms and my jackups, my guys on my drill ships. You don't unless you're working on a third or second generation drill ship that's anchored in the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic, which as far as I know, there's not any of these rigs on either side. You will not be departing the vessel. Your captain and your OIM will make the decision on a route to take you out of the storm's path. But be wary that you need to make your calls home before they get on their way out, or before they get too far out of range. In some circumstances, some drilling contractors, communications providers, lay down their communications towers, especially in an area that may be in the path of the storm, so they don't tear up all of their equipment. So this leaves you without a telephone or anything else to communicate with your family until the storm is over and everybody comes back and puts the tower back up. You know, this has happened in the past, but it's just a word of advice. Go ahead and make those calls home, let them know that you're okay and everything's fine while you're floating around out there and everybody's working days and you're working with a skeleton crew at night. Okay, so you got your full tank of gas. Other thing too is there's probably not going to be a whole lot of power when you get back. As we said before, you want to make sure that you have some cash on you. You want to put a $100 bill in the back of your wallet or the back of your purse or whatever you may carry money in, sock, shoe, under your arm. You want to put some cash back there in case you need to do something. You won't have access to an ATM, so you need cash. You also need a change of clothes in your vehicle in case you cannot make it out of a storm hit area and you have to stay somewhere, whether there's high water or whatever the reason may be. You want to have a change of clothes in your vehicle. You also want to have some fresh water and some batteries and flashlights, first aid kit. You want to have the things that you would have at your home. You want to have a little bit of that in a package that you keep in your vehicle during hurricane season. If your vehicle is located in an area that is going to be hit by a hurricane, then hopefully you work for a drilling contractor that will designate someone to go in and move your vehicles for you. It's happened a few times. I've had my vehicle moved multiple times. But please understand, if you opt not to have your vehicle moved, there's a good chance that you will be filing an entire loss with your insurance company. Some people may think that's okay, but to me, it's a hassle. So if they offer you to move your vehicle, just take them up on the offer. Your vehicle's covered. It doesn't matter as long as you have insurance on it. It's good to go. You want to try, before you depart the vessel, if you are leaving or down manning, you want to try to keep your cell phone charged up 100%. Even though you may have trouble with towers, whenever you get to shore, at least your phone will have a full battery. If there is no power and you need to make a phone call, you need to find a landline somewhere. Landlines will still work. Everything. That's a piece of information that people still forget. It has to be a rotary phone. It cannot be anything other than something that's manual. So I'm not saying store one of these in your vehicle, but I'm telling you this just in case you need it. If you get on shore and you need to make a phone call, and our world of technology, rotary phones are the only things that work with no power. So now you're calling somebody on the other side without no power. Hopefully they have a rotary phone, or you won't be able to speak to them. But if you're calling somewhere that still has plenty of power and people can still operate their phones and the towers are up, the rotary phone can contact them. It's not a problem. You also want to make sure that you have a emergency contact update on your files with your employer. Just in case anything happens, they can get in touch with your family and let them know what's going on. If you don't update your emergency contact file, don't expect for anybody to be calling your wife, children, families, grandmothers, aunts, cousins, because it won't happen. Trust me. A few more tips. You want to make sure that you have emergency numbers. The tower's up. You want to make sure you have emergency numbers for the town that you're departing out of. You want to make sure you have some police numbers, some paramedic numbers, and some things like this other than just 911. You may find that you may run into a few instances where people think that they can cross deep water with their vehicles, and all of a sudden they end up in the drink, and you may have to rustle some people out of the water. So you need to make sure that you have some emergency numbers of the actual place that you're going to be flying out of. And contact numbers of your crew. I've been doing this for, like I said, 22 years, and I've just on the vessels that I worked on permanently, I had all the contact numbers of my crew in my phone. So, good thing is you need that kind of a resource. If you are a supervisor, you also want to give that same resource to the wives of the team members that work for you. That way that they can contact you, and if they can't get a hold of their loved ones, they can contact you, and you can update them on anything that's going on. It's just part of the job. It's just part of the job. Well, the couple other things here for the podcast. That's all of our hurricane tips, ladies and gentlemen. There's I'm sure that there's a few things I left out. Please make sure that you stay safe. Don't drive through high water. Don't be a hero. You want to think about yourself. Priority one. Without you, there's no reason for any of this broadcast. So take care of yourself. So for the rest of the show, we this recording, of course, or this live show is being recorded, and there'll be a link for it on our website at www.oilfielduniversity.com. Feel free to jump in there and click on it and listen to any of these topics that interest you. I'm sure your ears could use a good burning. I do want to talk a little bit about our podcast series, Kids of the Oil Field. If you guys and girls have any kids out there that you'd like to interview, and send me in your interviews, we can do some editing. We can have some discussion, and we can get you and your child on the air and get you on a podcast. Let the world hear about your children's stories. What do you do? Where does mom and dad go whenever they leave to go to work? You know, there's they have some funny things that they're going to say. They may think that you're Santa Claus and you're going off to make presents, for however long that you're gone. So so get those in. Send those in. You can send them to content at oilfielduniversity.com, and we'll review that as well as have any other discussions about any other topics that you like to speak about. So we're also going to be on iTunes in the next 48 hours, so you'll be able to go to your iTunes app, go into podcasts, and you'll be able to type in oilfielduniversity.com and pull up all of our podcasts and listen to it straight out of iTunes. So yeah, that's a big one. So for the rest of the show, listen and live loud. Thanks for tuning in.